Hey guys, it's me, Johnny Nava, and today, I'm gonna do something a bit different, okay? I'm gonna do a tier list of the DreamWorks films, the ones that exist by far, and yeah. But I'm gonna make a video of it, and let's get over it. Let's start. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do an order. If you can't tell why it's this way, I'm doing an order, okay, guys? So let's get over it. And let's start with ants. I don't like it. And I don't get it, and I'll put in F tier because I don't I don't like it, and I don't get it, and I don't feel invested by the characters, and even the main character, which he for sure he's also probably the most annoying one in it. And I didn't fall into it. So but the only thing that I kinda like about it is the water animation that I think it kinda holds up now. And there were some parts that were a bit interesting, but doesn't help enough. But yeah, let's go to the next one. Prince of Egypt. Prince of Egypt is definitely in S tier because Prince of Egypt is great and phenomenal, and the music is great, and the characters are great, and the animation is great, and the backgrounds are pretty stunning, and yeah, and I felt interesting by the story, and yeah, the characters were enjoyable and makes me into the way that I felt interest to it. And yeah, let's go to the next one. World to Eldorado in A tier because the characters were enjoyable and the animation is great and enjoyable, and yeah, and I fell into it, and it was fun. It was a fun adventure, and yeah, it was pretty fun and great. Chicken Run, a B tier. I kind of and the story was pretty interesting and had some ways that was pretty fun and enjoyable and made me fall into the way that's done. And I have fun, and yeah, the characters were pretty enjoyable. And yeah. Okay, let's go to Shrek. Shrek definitely in A tier because I rather say the jokes were pretty clever, and I liked the growth of some of the characters, and I have fun, and the music they use and I like the songs that they use were pretty, that makes it fit well to the vibe of the way of it. And yeah, it was pretty fun and enjoyable and a bit of a different take to it. Let's go to Spirit of Spirit. S tier. The animation is great, and and the story is simple that has a interesting vibe to it. And yeah, the animation is pretty stunning, and the backgrounds are pretty creative and beautiful, and I like the way of the expression about the horse's face to tell about the way that makes it interesting. And the only problems I have about it is the narrating of it, that the guy that tells the parts of it that kind of ruins it, but doesn't ruin that much, and it doesn't ruin most of it. And some of the songs were not, en- but yeah, some of them were kind of enjoyable, and it kind of works. So yeah, Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, a low A tier. I will say the characters were good, and the main character was pretty annoying at first, but later on in the movie he gets a bit of an interesting way to it. and I fell into it anyway. And the animation is almost as the animation is pretty good and interesting, and the story a bit was kind of fun and pretty fun and enjoyable. And yeah, Shrek 2, the one definitely an S tier. And yeah, of course, an S tier because I'll say the jokes were a bit better, and I'll say some of the characters' growth into it are a bit of improvement, and I'll say the villain was a bit of a much of an improvement from the first one, and I have fun, and the music they used were a bit much enjoyable and good and and interesting, and yeah, and I felt to the vibe of it, and yep, every, almost everything about it is so fun. Sharktown. Where do I put this? In a point F. It's weird and horrible, but I'll say it has some parts that were a bit funny that keep it a bit higher from ends, but doesn't help enough to make it higher enough. So let's go to Madagascar. Not an A tier or an S tier, but a B tier. So it was Madagascar was pretty fun and it's fun and enjoyable and and I like the characters. The characters were enjoyable, and yeah, and it was kind of funny, and yeah, it was kind of funny and it was pretty enjoyable and fun, kind of fun. Let's go to Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Rare Rabbit. Higher, I'll say it has a bit of an interesting plot, and eh, I'll say it was a bit. I'll say it was a bit. It was it was pretty funny, and it was a bit fun, and I would say the villain was a bit enjoyable than the villain of Chicken Run. And yeah, let me and yeah, so oh, sorry guys. Let me over the hedge. Higher. The characters were. I'll say I played B because the characters were pretty fun and enjoyable, and I'll say it has an interesting way that felt pretty fun, and I liked the three villains of it. The three villains were a bit enjoyable, but I'll say the Verminator was probably the was was kind of funny. It was pretty enjoyable, and yeah, Vincent was the bear, pretty intimidating. Yeah, and anyways, okay. Flushed Away. I ready to say it was the weakest, to my opinion, the weakest one, and I'll say it was pretty fun and enjoyable, and I'll say the CGI a bit is not good, but a bit much of an improvement from this movie, and yeah, I felt it pretty fun to it, and the characters were kind of enjoyable, and yeah. Shrek the Third, I put in D, of course, because it ruins the way and the jokes doesn't fit well, but yeah, some of there's like two jokes that kind of works, and the campfire scene that was pretty interesting and a bit of a solid thing that makes it enjoyable. But yeah, it ruins the way that what the two movies were pretty fun and great about it. And let's go to the B movie. B movie is a weird movie. Don't if it wasn't funny, it would definitely be the weakest one. But since it was pretty funny, that's the only thing I like about it. It's pretty funny. It's probably the funniest one in this category of DreamWorks. And yeah, that's the only thing I liked about it. It was pretty funny. And yeah, Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda. S tier. It's so fun and enjoyable, and the characters were pretty good, and I felt pretty have fun to it. That makes it a bit interesting. And yeah, the growth of the main character Poe is a bit good, pretty good. And I felt, and yeah, the villain was a bit good, was great. And yeah, the scenes were pretty fun, and the characters were charming and good. Madagascar to Madagascar Escape to Africa. A better and a way better improvement from the first one. And I'll say it's a bit of a better improvement since it's a bit, I'll say it's a bit funny. It was a bit much funnier. And yeah, the characters from has some to it that felt worked. That has a bit part of the story. And yeah, it was quite fun of it. Monsters vs. Aliens, a C tier. Of course, the characters were not too interesting, but they were okay. And the story was meh, okay. And yeah, not much, but okay. How to Train Your Dragon. S tier. Almost everything about it is great and so interesting and has some ways that's so. And the characters are great. And yeah, the animation is pretty stunning, and the flight sequence are great and so fun, and the music is so good and so fun and enjoyable. It's so fun and enjoyable and great. Okay, next one. Shrek Forever After. Definitely a bit almost high B tier. I'll say it's a better improvement from Shrek the Third, since I'll say it has some ways that works a bit well, and I like the way that they changed it by Shrek being, and also the villain was pretty enjoyable, and yeah, and I like the change of it that there the world changes and like some newer characters like the ogre, like the warrior ogres, and yeah, and also the villain was pretty enjoyable, and I'll say the growth of Shrek from this one is a bit better from this weird movie. And yeah, it was a bit fun. Megamind! Definitely in A tier. The characters are